Okay, so um, kind of before, definitely watch this. Hopefully, you're watching this before your writing assignment, because this is really important about plagiarism and lazy writing. So, if you haven't had a look at any of the assignments yet, definitely do that because your first thing is going to be to find some articles and then paraphrase them without any plagiarism. That's the first two steps. So what is plagiarism? Well, hopefully you know what it is, but as a reminder, plagiarism occurs when you use another person's words, thoughts, ideas, anything really, without giving proper citation. Okay. So really anytime you're writing, you want to ask yourself, was this my idea or was this someone else's? And if it's someone else's, you need to cite them. As a general rule, if you're unsure, you should just cite them. There are a few exceptions, stuff that's really common sense, where you don't need to cite. You don't need to cite, say the sky is blue, and then have a citation for that. But all the papers that you borrow ideas or methodology or thoughts or opinions or, well, shouldn't be opinions, but um, research from should be cited. Otherwise, it's plagiarism. So plagiarism is different from lazy writing. Lazy writing is when you lift material verbatim or nearly verbatim from a source with a proper citation, but you don't really change it enough to the point that it's your own. So taking a paragraph and changing a word here and there is an example of lazy writing. This does still fall under academic dishonesty. So when you're talking about others' work, other people's work, other people's ideas, and you're not quoting, you need to be stating it in your own words, not just copying what they're saying. Okay. So one more time, if you are talking about someone else's ideas and it's not a quote with a page number, you need to talk about it in your own ideas. Otherwise, you need to talk about it in your own words. Otherwise, it's lazy writing. So when you're talking about other people's work or ideas, whatever it might be, you want to think about how to convey the essential argument and the key or main points of the text, representing the ideas accurately and concisely. You also want to think about retaining the original meaning without plagiarizing. Okay, so different words, same idea. And a big thing here is like, if you don't understand it, then you can't put it in your own words. So make sure you understand what you're citing. A good way to avoid lazy writing is to read it through and then um, write about it without looking. Okay, so make your point without um, without having document in front of you, with the document you're citing. One reason that this works is that with memory, we of course remember the overall meaning of things. We don't tend to remember exact words or exact phrasing. So if you are not looking at it and you're just remembering what it means, then by default, it's pretty much going to be in your own words. Okay. You should never try to replicate the paragraph sentence for sentence. Take kind of a bigger picture view of the passage and what's important again. After you've paraphrased it, you want to go back and look at it again and make sure you didn't just copy it or show lazy writing. So first of all, do your words actually accurately convey what the original content was saying? And then are they sufficiently different to not plagiarism? So go back and check that you did those things after you've written your summary. And just a reminder, in case you don't remember this either, paraphrasing, so you can either quote or you can paraphrase. But you really shouldn't be quoting, or sorry, I just meant you can quote like it's technically allowed, not that I want you to quote. Quoting is when you say exactly what they say and you cite the page number. Paraphrasing is when you're just kind of summarizing their ideas, but you're not saying it word for word. It's your own words. So here's an example of, and so when we're paraphrasing, we of course want to not be just quoting. We want to be making it in our own words, but just maintaining the content or maintaining the idea, not the specific words. So here's an example of lazy writing. So this is supposed to be paraphrasing, but it's not. It's really just plagiarism / lazy writing. The original high school cliques, which reproduce the class divisions found in society, originate from 3 distinct sources: racial differences, gender differences, and social differences. So lazy writing version of that would be peer groups in high school, reproduce the class divisions found in society and come from 3 distinct sources: race, gender, social differences, according to Morgan. So this is almost exactly the same. There's like a couple words here rather than high school cliques. They say peer groups in high school, but then this part here is exactly the same. So reproduce the class divisions found in society, originate from 3 distinct sources. It's almost exactly the same. This is not good enough. This is lazy writing, basically plagiarism. Okay. So that's an example of lazy writing. Let's look at an example of how to properly paraphrase. Oh, and just to clarify something, just if it has a page number, it might be paraphrasing or it might be a quote. Or sorry, if it has a page, sometimes people include page numbers even when they're paraphrasing, but it's not a requirement. If it's in actual quotations, then obviously it's a quote. But if it doesn't have quotes, then it's paraphrasing. Okay, so the original high school cliques, which reproduce this class divisions found in society, originate from 3 distinct sources: racial differences, gender differences, and social differences. So a good paraphrase would be peer groups in high school mirror societies, class distinctions, which stem from differences in race, gender, and social status, according to Morgan. So it's very different. It's not like there's no point where there's a bunch of stuff in a row that's the same words. It's it's largely different words, um, except for like the key terms here. But even those are different. They say race, gender instead of racial. They say race instead of racial. That's good, but in general, it's different. So it's not word for word. It's close to being word for word. So let's see. So some general rules to kind of follow here and check that you didn't do or did do. Make sure you're picking a paragraph that you understand well. This is for your assignment. Um, explain the advanced terms when you take from the original source so it's clear you understand. So that's another important thing too, is when you're writing, you're not allowed to just assume that people know what you're talking about. So if you introduce a term, you know, if I say something about recognition or familiarity-based recognition, I need to define what that means. I can't just assume that people will know what I'm talking about. So don't forget, explain advanced terms. Okay. And you can use an example if you want. That often helps. Avoid following the paragraph format point by point. So that's another thing here is you notice how they kind of go high school groups or high school cliques. It's just all in the exact same order, kind of point to point, rather than, again, just working off the general important meaning. And also, as a general rule, watch out for phrases of 3 or more words repeated verbatim from the original. So With this one, like it's fine because, I mean, there's not short of using different terms that are maybe not accurate. There's not really any way you can change this blue part. But other than that, there's like no point at which there's 3 or more words in a row that are verbatim. Whereas here, this whole part is the whole pink part is verbatim. Um, and then if you ever do quote, not that you should be, enclose them in quotation marks and include page numbers. But again, I don't want you to be quoting like that. And always cite the sources that are. So make sure your paper and your article summaries and everything is written in your own words. It shouldn't be large amounts of material taken from other sources. It should be kind of the important parts, again, said in your own words, and don't use quotes. Forget what it says there. Okay, that's it.